We're Studio Truly Truly. I'm Kate Booy, this is Joel Booy. We're originally from Australia, and we studied and worked together as designers in Australia, after which we moved to Europe for study again into more dimensions. So Joel studied at the Design Academy in Eindhoven and really grew a love and fascination for materials and material exploration, as well as space design, furniture design, and of course lighting design. I think the theme of this year's Fiore Salone, Connecting Worlds, is an interesting one, and we consider that a lot in our own work as Studio Truly Truly, in the sense of connections in space, between space and object, but also between people and object, and even people in space. It comes full circle for us. So these things are around us all the time. We might take them for granted often, and I think we find a fascination in that sensuality and intricacies that come up with the relationships between how people interact with objects and how people and objects and space all interact together.
Yeah, connections between people and product design is really important. That value between the dialogue from us and the people that we work with, and also the dialogue between different cultures is really interesting to us. So we met Ricumba years ago, and it was around a product that we had made that was very sensual in its materiality, and that was something that drew Ricumba to us, and so there was this kind of connection that we both understood this materiality, and because we already had an understanding of something through an object, we connected really well personally. And that's actually before they found out we were Australians, and of course Ricumba is also Australian. But at the time we'd been living in the Netherlands for quite a long time. And then Ricumba's been continually presenting their things here in Valcucine, and there's this real synergy between Ricumba's luxurious lighting products and the absolute thoughtfulness through these kitchens that are here. For us as people, it's really easy to connect through an object sometimes, to connect through these things that we're using all the time and that we understand their cultural significance. I mean, a kitchen is the heart of the home in almost every culture, and of course, particularly in the Italian culture. So, yeah, I really think the connection between people and objects and people and cultures, I mean, it's really a fundamental way to work, and if you can make that enjoyable, it's even better.
It was really serendipitous that we met Ricumba in Milan, actually, some years prior, through an interaction with an object that we had designed, which was very textural and translucent as a vessel, and that really resonated with Michael from Ricumba, and we struck up a conversation and realised that we were both actually from Australia, and years down the track now, we've collaborated on a number of projects together, and I think that's come from the root of that similar fascination with materiality and what that can bring and offer in relationship to how we all live our lives and what's in our lives.
In order to encourage a connection between a designed object and its owner, you really just have to give an object its own character, give it a bit of its own life, so that you can almost find, it doesn't need to be anthropomorphic or anything like that where you realise your own self in it, but just that the object has its own fascination or its own vision, and that really comes from being able to look at your own self and reflect that into the object. Look at what's interesting to you and your fascinations. For us, fascinations is a really important part of the start of a project. If we don't start from a fascination, we don't tend to be able to get in something that draws people to it. So fascinations is how we help people to be magnetised to a product. And I think about it, mostly that comes through materiality. There's a sensuality to everything we produce, and a sensitivity to materiality is something that's really important to us in our studio. It's interesting here at Valcucine to see our lights connected in the same environments as the kitchens, and it makes a lot of sense because with the lights that we design with Ricumba, there's so much thought put into all of the aspects of it, like how the functional light works, how the aesthetics of the light look, and the combination of those things all together is really important, and you see that in the functionality and also the aesthetic values that are in the kitchens from Valcucine. I mean, good design has to take into account usefulness, functionality, but also beauty and all those other things. And I see beauty as a functional aspect as well. If an object isn't alluring and beautiful, it essentially isn't filling in the function of, do I want to connect with this object?
I think we know when we've made a connection, when we see our work resonating with people. We see people interacting with it in the way that we intend, and with Big Glow, that's really about the warmth of the light glowing, but also that downward illumination. We see people recognizing those two different functions immediately. It's on their face. We all share the same senses. We all have understanding about what light and atmosphere means innately. So when we see people's face and their reactions to those stimulation of glowing, warm atmosphere or extreme task light, it's clear. People understand the light and they value it, I think. Our ultimate kitchen is one where it's central in a space, where it plays a central role. It's a very active space. It encompasses more than just cooking, but also lots of other activities like socializing, sitting and relaxing. So it's not a very linear, one sort of dimensional approach to a kitchen. And I think that's what we see here in Valcucine as well. There's so many different atmospheres and moods that these kitchens allow space for, and that's ultimately the art of living.